GA and Vice President, Permanent and Search Services. This webinar will share insights on compensation and hiring trends specific to CPAs in the GTA and offer practical tips and advice related to finding employment, negotiating salaries, and industry insights. Today's presentation is based on data collected by Lannick, and we are excited to have them join us and share their findings and expertise with us. You can find a PDF copy of today's slide deck in the handout section of the webinar toolbox. You can also download the salary report through the URL provided in the slide deck. You will also receive an email confirming your CPD credits within 2 to 3 days. This webinar is your opportunity to ask questions related to our presentation today, and we encourage you to type questions you'd like to ask our speakers using the chat feature located in the control panel. And we'll take some time at the end to answer as many questions as we can at the end of the session today. If we're unable to get to your question during the session, please email careerservices@cpaontario.ca, and we will ensure all queries are answered. Stay tuned after the Q&A, and we will be sharing information on some exciting and exclusive upcoming events for CPA Ontario members and students. Thank you, and please welcome Kevin.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to our presentation today. First of all, I wanted to thank CPA Ontario for allowing us to share some of our insights and some of the topics that we're really passionate about. As you guys know, we do this day in, day out, and this gives us a great forum to share some of the trends that we're seeing in the GTA and give you some more insight which may help you in your job search or as a hiring manager in terms of hiring fantastic people within the GTA. I wanted to give a special thanks to many of the people who have emailed me, so Lannick's clients and candidates who are on the call today. And thank you very much for your support and being here, and hopefully you will take away some value from this in some way. Also, I have many colleagues that are on the line today from our office, and I'm not sure if they actually would have thought they would get CPD credits listening to me talk, because they always hear me talk around the office. I'm actually logged in from my desk today too, so I can get some PD credits. So I wanted to walk you through some of the compensation trends here. These are the, as you can see, these are the learning outcomes that we'll go through today. So which roles will enjoy pay increases in the GTA, in-demand skill sets in 2017, economic factors impacting the finance and accounting sector in 2017, as well as how to secure your next rewarding career opportunity. On the next couple of slides, I'll walk you through a bit of my story, and then you can understand why I'm capable and privileged enough to lead this conversation today, as well as tell you a little bit more about Lannick, and then we'll get into the meat of the presentation. So my story. So I started off my career at 2 Big 4 firms in Trinidad and Tobago. I worked at PwC and Ernst & Young, and then moved to Canada in 1999, where I started working at a company called Astral Media, which was subsequently bought by Bell Media. And I was fortunate enough where I had a very good coach and mentor who encouraged me to attain a local designation. And basically, I was fortunate enough again for this company to help me pay for my exams as I was successful, and I became a designated CGA in 2004. And boy, was that a big game changer for me in terms of my career in here in Toronto. So quick funny story. When I went back on one of my many trips to Trinidad, I was having dinner with some friends who are all accountants. So you can imagine the wild parties that we used to have. And so I was discussing, getting my CGA in Canada and being a CGA member. And they all looked really, really confused and perplexed. And I was wondering why. So I found out later that the CGA in Trinidad was the Coconut Growers Association. So they thought I lost my mind and bought a coconut plantation. But that's a long time ago. So when I explained what the CGA was in Ontario, they were actually quite relieved. So joining Dyson Canada in 2005 was a pivotal point in my career. And one of the reasons I got that job was because I was locally designated. So I was lucky enough to interview for Dyson, and get the job as a controller in 2005. I was actually the second employee in Canada, so it was in startup mode in Canada. So it was a great experience. As the company grew, I was able to earn the opportunity to become the director of finance and logistics. So I would oversee anything from a finance perspective, from reporting, planning, as well as operations, any product in the store. So that was an education in on its own. That position now allowed me, because I spent a lot of time with the sales teams, to really learn and understand what the sales part of the business had to offer. And I was able to go into a test role as a national account manager, and then later on lead the sales team at Dyson in Canada. And that was actually the first time any CPA had done so globally through Dyson. So for anyone on this call that thinks that accounting designation or CPA can only lead to traditional roles, here's a living example of many of my story, and many people on the line may have the same sort of experience, actually not being in traditional finance and accounting roles. So today, in my job as VP of Permanent and Search Services of Lannick Finance and Accounting, I get to marry my two passions together, accounting as well as sales. And I work with some fantastic people in our organization. The business that I run specifically is all CPAs are in that division. So we have our recruitment team and our sales team who are all CPAs, and I'm very fortunate to work with the brightest and the best people in the GTA. So a little bit about Lannick. So Lannick is the Canada's largest specialized regional staffing and recruitment firm. And for those of you who may not realize that the recruitment industry as a whole is actually booming and growing quite significantly. In Canada alone, the recruitment industry is worth over $10 billion. That includes all categories, not just finance and accounting, but recruitment as a whole. What makes Lannick very different is our unique dedicated service model, which ensures bias-free service to both candidate and client, meaning we have two separate teams throughout our business, and I'll talk about our lines of business in a second. We have dedicated recruitment teams that service our candidates, and dedicated sales teams that support our clients. And what that ensures, there's no bias. So meaning, if you're a candidate coming through the door to meet us at Lannick, you would see all opportunities across the GTA in our company. So that recruiter that you'll be meeting at Lannick would show you all the opportunities available for your skill set at that stage, not only the ones that they're working on. From a sales perspective, our sales teams are not allowed to represent any specific candidate. They have our client's best interest in mind, and they would review all candidates coming through from our recruitment team to have our clients select the best one candidate for them, for their company, and with no bias, meaning when you come as a client to Lannick, you would see all candidates that are qualified for that job, not just being represented by the person that you're dealing with. So some of our divisions include Lannick Finance and Accounting. The business that I run is a permanent staffing business for senior roles, meaning we are representing 60 individuals making 60,000 and above that would have a designation already. What mirrors that is our contract business, which would service roles on a contract basis or a project basis, and that is actually a very big part of our business here at Lannick. Our ProChem staffing divisions would help our clients with accounting temps, payroll temps, admin temps, and also we have a permanent business, which I actually run as well, servicing accounting operation type roles, accounts payable, receivable, etc., that are non-managerial and non-designated in nature. Our technology business is about 6 years old, and they employ the same model as we do. As a fast-growing part of our business. They do anything from help desk straight up to CTO, permanent roles, and contract roles. So the CPA 2007 hiring market, what can we expect? So what we're seeing in the market currently is a very, very busy market, meaning, so there are two main drivers as I see taking place in this market. So there's natural economic growth, which would produce jobs. So that might be on a single-digit basis in terms of growth. Also, what we're seeing is that people are actually switching jobs more often. So if you are a CPA recently designated, in the next 4 years, you would probably have 2 jobs before you become a manager. And then it slows down from manager to director. You're probably in a job for 4 years before you hit director. So there's a lot of churn happening in the marketplace. And the reason for that is we're seeing a lot of individuals chasing different skill sets and wanting different types of experiences from companies. Also, we're seeing that it's such a tight labor market in certain segments. Take tax as an example. If our clients are looking for tax professionals, if you have 1,000 people coming out of CPA graduation, probably 3 or 4% of those individuals may have tax qualifications. So in some cases, we're seeing a huge imbalance in types of candidates for roles, and there becomes a high level of competition from an employer perspective. So some of the growth industries that we're seeing is private equity. We're seeing a lot more growth coming through private equity. There's private equity companies are doing acquisitions, integrations, and the Canadian market, being a very safe market, is seeing a lot of money flow into the GTA specifically. We're seeing manufacturing on the rebound. So some of the roles that we've worked on are not traditional manufacturing roles. There's manufacturing with a component. So one of our clients, as an example, sells software but hardware as well, combined as a package. So we're seeing a high level of manufacturing coming back in, high skilled labor manufacturing coming back into play in Canada, which is creating jobs for CPAs across the GTA. Real estate has been booming. I'm sure many of you own your own homes, and you would have seen, if you bought a home 10 years ago, you've seen that double. That's not uncommon in the commercial real estate market, where there's a very tight demand on high value assets. So companies are growing and trying to expand, and therefore hiring more CPAs to perform more analysis, et cetera. Construction is on the rise as well, and we're seeing a high demand for professional services firms supporting some of these industries. So this slide that you see in front of you is more anecdotal than anything. But this is what we're seeing in our business. We're seeing 80% of employers trying to target the top 20% of candidates. So there's a lot of demand if you can find yourself in the top 20. And we'll talk about that on some of the ensuing slides. But this gives you a strong visual. If you're a client, how do I attract the top 20%? If you're a candidate, how do I get myself into the top 20%? So here's a magic question. How do you break into the top 20%? So some of the specialized skill sets we're seeing, so what we're seeing is habits that are changing. So we're seeing employers actually hiring for type of experience. Usually when employers go out to market, they've usually explored internal options already. So they're coming out to market to find a high level of expertise to solve a business problem that they have. So what does that look like? So we're seeing companies, as an example, I worked with a company last month. They actually changed their whole role. So as an example, the role was a senior accountant. This company was in the distribution business, so they wanted somebody with dealing with big box retailers and deduction management. Because deduction management was a material segment on their P&L, they needed a high level of expertise, and they needed to acquire that from the market. So what they did was they actually changed the role from a senior accountant to assistant controller, giving it a broader skill set as well as a direct report. Therefore, trying to find someone from that top 20 to come into that role to last longer in the role. So the message is that in a tight labor market that we're experiencing, companies are getting smarter in terms of the way that they onboard individuals and how they keep them interested for the long term of their in their company. What you'd notice on this slide as well is transferable skills are rarely applied in this job market. When companies come out to market, they usually have tapped resources internally to see if anyone in the organization has the transferable skills to be able to do that job. So that's great, because if you're in a company and there's a tight labor market, you may get alternative opportunities in that company if you have transferable skills. So as an example, if you are a reporting manager and you wanted to go into FP&A, that may be a good transferable skill because you understand what makes the organization profitable, the P&L structure, and then you can take that into the forward-looking strategy, which is the FP&A part. What we're seeing as well is, companies are looking for individuals to come in and add value, and people that candidates that have quantifiable skills. So many of us are CPAs on this call, and some students as well. And many accountants are by nature very reserved and don't want to tell people what they've done and what they've accomplished. You need to be able to sell in this market and be able to tell prospective employers what you have done and quantify that for them so they can see it and fully understand it and digest it, to understand if you are actually going to add more value than other folks that came in for interviews as well. So some of the trending skill sets that we're seeing are specific to IFRS and US GAAP, which we define as technical reporting. IFRS, again, it's for public clients, but what we're seeing as well is we're seeing lots of private equity companies raising the standards of their reporting to IFRS standards. And with US GAAP, as you would know, US GAAP is widely used if you are dually listed. So again, a very small skill set in Canada. So if you have US GAAP skills, you want to definitely highlight that in your resume because there are definitely customers or clients looking for folks like you. Tax, in-depth 1, 2, and 3 are extremely valuable because you, having done these courses, you would know how to help companies with tax planning, whether it's tax deferrals or actual savings, so you can use working capital to reinvest into your company. That's adding real value to businesses. From the FP&A perspective, we're seeing high demand in that area as well because in some cases we're seeing businesses that are shipping AP overseas or reporting overseas, but the FP&A function usually stays within the business units because these individuals are the financial conscience of the organization and would help businesses add real value through profitability analysis, Q analysis, etc. What we're seeing as well is big data is coming into accounting, so we're finding that some of our clients are looking for accountants with technical skills such as SQL and other types of software skills, being able to slice and dice data to find common trends so you can potentially bundle products or understand a bit more in terms of insights about your consumers so you can add value to your consumers and potentially drive extra revenue streams for the company. We're also seeing change management as a big part of what companies are looking for. So, usually established businesses are looking for different ways of doing things, and process improvement may help save cost as well as develop different strategies to service your customers better. So we're seeing a huge push on change management, process improvement. So this slide is definitely not a surprise to anybody on this call, but it's definitely worth going through because verbal and written communication skills are a non-negotiable in this market. You may have all the technical skills in the world, but if you cannot distill the information and speak to non-financial managers in your company, you just can't build that presence and influence it the way that an accountant or a CPA in this market should be doing. So as an example, if you are in financial control and there's a control procedure that is going to be highly beneficial to the organization, you want to be able to sell that to your sales teams, to your marketing teams, for them to be able to understand why are you putting this control in place and how it will benefit them. Also, if you are in FP&A doing the analysis and understanding, what SKUs might be available to be sold in various retailers might add a ton of value as well. So being able to articulate those points are very key. So again, relationship building and business partnership skills are extremely important in this market. Many people that we place that are very successful tend to have these skills because they can bridge the gap from financial to non-financial managers and speak to highly technical concepts in lay terms. The slide you see in front of you is an interesting one. I'll explain to give you a bit more insight into when we actually receive a requisition from one of our valued clients, what we do is we have an engagement meeting. What does that engagement meeting mean? So usually in the permanent placement market, clients have gone through the steps of creating a job description, reviewing their org charts, etc. So they know exactly what they're looking for from a technical perspective. That job description is very useful, but it's very onerous in detail. We take the time out to go out, meet with our clients, understand their environment, and really the objective of the meeting is to understand what are the key technical skills, as well as what are the typical types of individuals that they're looking for. So I'll go through some of the information on this slide from one of our actual engagements for a finance manager. They wanted someone with a CPA designation. It could have been a CPA CGA, it could have been a CPA CMA, it could have been a CPA CA. They were non-biased in terms of that view. They wanted the person to have very strong proven analytical skills, because this job had a focus on value add through analytics. And they must have been conversant with a particular software. In this case, it was JD Edwards. This company was a real estate business, and this wasn't necessary to have in terms of a real estate background. They actually wanted somebody outside of real estate to add a new perspective, which was very refreshing to hear. They were looking for someone who loves to learn and challenge themselves, and someone that was looking to grow. Some of the things that they were looking for and how they sold this opportunity in the marketplace was a very positive culture. They have a very collaborative environment, lots of social events, lots of heavy investment in their people, from a time spent perspective, from one-on-ones in their organization, as well as sending their potential rising stars to courses. They have a great work-life balance, very steady hours. It's high intensity, but it's very steady, and they wanted someone that would be able to work in that type of environment. So as you can see from this slide, it was a distillation of the job description into key skills, as well as the types of characteristics that they were looking for in this individual. On the next slide I just put up, you would see here the ideal profile. So this is actually someone that got the job. In the end, the person that got the job was a 2012 CPA CA. They had the system skills that were required. They were progressive, so they were currently a senior accountant in their job, and they were looking for progression. And they had proven tangible skills, so they identified that they found $500,000 in cost savings in their current role, which is a very tangible accomplishment to sell to prospective employers. They also assisted in a system conversion. This was not even on the list, but it was just an added benefit, so this person would know how to do that in the future and to manage large amounts of data. And this person was actually a super user in Excel and gave tutorials to others in the organizations, so meaning others actually not in the finance area. So again, those communication skills we talked about, being able to impart knowledge on others in a non-technical way and have them benefit from it. So this person, as you can see, the salary range is $90,000 to $120,000. A profile like this that hit all the notes would have been, this person got very close to the top of the range because of what they've done in their past. So this is just another example at a more senior level. So again, this was a live requirement that we worked on, and this was basically a distillation of the engagement meeting. So in this case, the client was looking for a CPA CA. Due to the technical nature of the job, they wanted a lot of IFRS experience for this person to come into the job and add specific value in that area. They wanted someone with no less than 6 years of progressive industry experience with a proven track record in change management. The reason they wanted someone with change management in this role was that the company was doing lots of acquisitions, and there was a lot of integration work with small insurance companies that they were purchasing to be able to integrate from a system perspective and a people perspective of running these businesses once they go through post-acquisition. Must have insurance company experience or related experience, so it could have been banking. but they were very much focused on that trigger because these types of businesses work very differently. Must have a strong, well-rounded background. So meaning they wanted somebody with a blended background. So someone, as I mentioned, those transferable skills in an organization. So this person actually went from being an a technical person into FP&A. So they came in as they wanted somebody that came into a technical role and evolved into an FP&A role. So some of the selling features that we learned from this engagement meeting was succession planning. So there was a career path to VP within 24 months, which is fantastic. Again, this would attract the right individual. Company looking at large strategic opportunities, meaning acquisitions. Great company values their people with an excellent corporate culture and lots of interaction with various client groups. Again, using your ability to business partner and influence various groups would be key in this role. So on this slide, again, was the type of profile that actually got the job. So this person was a 2008 CPA CA. They mainly worked with insurance clients, went at the firm, so they had a broad understanding of various types of insurance companies and how they worked. And then they went into industry and worked in an insurance business. And they started off as a technical reporting manager and then moved to FP&A. So they had the technical side as well as the forward-looking or business side of the equation. This person came with, was well recognized by their CEO for implementing an improved budget and forecasting process that gave better insights in less time. So again, saving time and money. So that's high value to any organization that would be looking for a candidate like this. Person had fantastic communication skills. They actually took public speaking courses because their ambition was to become a CFO. And again, a CFO would be a business leader and being able to influence and drive real value to their shareholders. Again, so if you look at this profile, the salary range is 125 to 175. This person actually got closer to the top of the range because they actually exceeded the expectations of what we were looking for that specific client in the marketplace. So salaries and compensation. Salaries and compensation for 2017. So in terms of hiring in Q4, if you look at the salaries and compensation, we see a general increase across the GTA with a proximity closer to downtown. The CPA designation is assumed for positions over 60K. Compensation varies widely as a function of seniority, industry sector, etc. This is actually data that we have come across ourselves and actually distilled ourselves. So we make about 1,000 placements in the GTA every single year, so it's part of that, as well as we come into contact with individuals looking for jobs. So we speak to about 35,000 people every single year in the GTA market, and they share their compensation details with us. So we take this information and produce information that is sensible for our hiring managers in the GTA, as well as our candidates in the GTA looking for better opportunities. Again, our report is GTA specific. There are other compensation reports out there that may be more robust in terms of a national perspective, but this report is GTA specific and focused within the GTA. So what we've seen is gradual growth across all roles and levels for CPAs. We're seeing employers in the GTA, again, it's a very tight labor market from some of the previous slides that I showed you. So we're seeing employers for the right people buying commitment. What does that mean? So employers are starting to put variable compensation more often in finance and accounting jobs for CPAs specifically. And what we've seen is actually a trend of offering bonuses even at a more junior level, because companies are wanting highly engaged employees, and employees can add real value to stay with the organization for a longer period of time. So what we're seeing is some of the projections for this year are accountants will experience a 5 to 10% bonus of base salary. Managers would see 15 to 20% bonus of base salary, and directors and VPs can range from anywhere from 25 to 40% of base salary. At some of the more senior levels, what we're seeing is actually LTIPs, which are long-term incentive plans, which vest over typically 3-year periods, as well as stock options. Even if the company is not public, we're seeing phantom stock options which may vest over time in private companies as well. So employers, I guess the message is employers are getting very, very creative and buying in long-term commitment from individuals. So if you are in the process currently, it's now November 30th, tomorrow's going to be December. I can't believe Christmas is so close. But if you are trying to wrap up a hiring process in the next 4 weeks, what you might want to consider is individuals that you are potentially hiring would have accrued a bonus for the last 11 months and would be, that bonus may be due and payable in January or February. So every assignment that we get right now, we're coaching our clients on speaking to them about potentially giving a signing bonus to compensate some of these individuals for the bonus that they have accrued. And if you're a candidate looking at opportunities, it's important to note that many employers would consider paying a signing bonus to help compensate for part of the bonus that you're walking away from. Meaning, what we're seeing specifically is that employers are not willing to pay for the whole bonus, but they're willing to help compensate for part of it. And what we're seeing typically is about 50% of what that bonus should be. Again, employers would want to see written documentation of how your performance plan works and if you're expected to get a bonus. So you have to do some sort of due diligence in terms of vetting what that number would be. So this report, you would have all received a hiring report. The great news is that if you look at the national average pay increase across Canada, the national pay increase across Canada expected for 2017 is 2.2. That's across all industries, across all businesses. The average salary increase for finance professionals across the country is 2.7%. If you look at the percentage change that we're expecting in 2017 for some of the roles that are highlighted on your screen, you're going to beat that in the GTA. So it's a great place to be as a CPA in the GTA in 2017. So we'll talk a little bit about how to get hired. And what I can tell you just from my experience is that we do a lot of cold calling to headhunting to new prospective candidates. Even if you're a hiring manager, we are experiencing that hiring managers are picking up calls to understand what other opportunities are out there. So everyone's always looking for a better opportunity, whether you're active or you're passive. So some of the changes that we've seen in the most recent years are employers are going beyond the resume. What does that mean? So not only they're meeting candidates, they're screening candidates, and they're meeting them based on the resume that they've got, but they're trying to dig a little bit deeper to understand how can this individual add value to me. So they're doing skill-based tests. So that may take the form of Excel tests or accounting evaluations, etc., or it may be case studies, because they may want to understand how would you be able to solve real business problems for them. Aptitude and cultural fit evaluations, that's extremely important. As anyone employed on a full-time basis that has a busy job, you tend to spend more time with people at work than you do with your family. So the cultural part about your job and the fit evaluation is extremely important. So employers are doing a lot more testing up front. It's actually great if you're a candidate as well, because you get to go through some of these evaluations and see if you're a good fit, because you never want to take an opportunity that you may not be successful in. So it's actually a great screening tool if you're a candidate as well. So employers are hiring for the long term and investing more time in the interview process based on some of the evaluations that we're seeing and buying in employees for the longer term. So in terms of time scales, what are we seeing? The average time for a permanent hire at a manager and above is about 60 days. The average hiring for a senior financial analyst or a staff accountant is about 30 days. In our contract and temp businesses, the time frame tends to be a lot quicker because clients typically have solutions or problems that they need solutions for immediately, actually last week or last month. So the speed of hiring is really important here. And many clients, what they actually do is, if someone has left an opportunity, they call us for a temporary backfill, while we work on the permanent opportunity, because they want to ensure that as they onboard permanent staff, that is not a backlog that is created through the vacancy, as well as not putting their current staff under additional overtime. So, if your hiring actually takes less than this, so let's assume you're a manager and you're going in for an opportunity, it takes 2 weeks. Please don't let that worry you. The client that you're meeting with is probably just very sure of what they're looking for. Maybe they've gone out to market and they couldn't find what they're looking for, and you walked in with all the skills that they were looking for, and they said, you know what, you're the person that we want to hire. On the flip side, sometimes you may spend longer in a process because of the type of interviewing process, or people may be on vacation, etc. Right? So clients may be on vacation. So it really depends on the schedules of the individuals. But getting back into some of our temporals, actually our temporals, we've had calls, and it happens quite often, on a Friday evening for someone to start on a Monday. So our temp business can turn around roles not only in a 3-day time frame, but within a matter of hours for our clients. So adding a lot of value and supporting our clients and candidates within their companies. So if you're thinking about changing jobs, I think, as Stephen Covey said, you want to start with the end in mind. So think of your career as a roadmap. Where do you want to end up in your career? And just like any good roadmap, you'd have time markers on it. So think about your career within 3 to 5 to 10-year time frames, and what do you want to accomplish within those time frames? Again, your career is very serious, and only you can make this happen for yourself. So if you are very career oriented and you want to be you want to be a driver in your business, you want to be able to sit back and think about where your career should take you. So again, you want to be able to do your homework and know exactly what you want in your next role. It's very difficult because today's market is filled with endless opportunities. So you want to be able to figure out what's really important to you. Is it, if you're early on in your career, is it skills that I want to learn? Is it the people that I want to be around? So you may want to think about how learning from, in sales we say modeling the masters. So if you want to be able to learn from the best, you got to join the company that is the best. So leadership is really important. The type of skills are really important. The type of culture is really important. As I mentioned before, you spend more time at work than you do with your family. You want to be able to enjoy the people that you work with and have them add value and benefit to your life. So who would my team be? Am I going to spend 12 hours of work or 8 hours of work? Do I want work-life balance? Is there a visible workplace culture? You want to join a company, if that's what you want, with a high visible workplace culture, meaning a real identity. So this is the job search process. So how do you get an interview? So doing smart things to get an interview is going to help you. So meaning applying for jobs that you're qualified for. So I'll give you an example. If you are making $90,000 and the job you see advertised is for $150,000, and you're a senior accountant and that job is a director's position, you're probably not qualified for that job just yet. That may be your ambition, and you may want to grow into that job, but it may take an intermediary step to get there. So be patient and apply for the job that you may be suitable for. So only apply for jobs within your geographic area. What I mean by this is the GTA is not getting any easier to commute on a daily basis. A reasonable commute these days is 45 minutes to an hour. What we're seeing is if you are living in Oshawa and you want to apply for a job in Burlington, prospective employers may not get back to you because they feel that it's an untenable commute, and you may not last in the job for the foreseeable future. If you have gaps on your resume, you always want to explain those gaps. Just remember, you're not there to explain why there are gaps on your resume. So you want to be able to have a sensible explanation as to gaps on your resume. Either you took a sabbatical, you went traveling, for whatever reason. You want to be able to have that on your resume. Your resume is a silent sales document. It should do you justice. And any unexplained gaps in your resume should be identified and should be explained. You want to be able to update your resume in a great format, and it's, spelling and grammar is really, really important, because what we've seen is we've seen candidates that are great candidates, but it's just that extra step of checking that you need to go through. You want to quantify your experience. You want to be able to tell a story of what you've done for particular organizations, and that may help you get into the door. So now you've done all that really well, how do you succeed in the interview? So you always want to have an objective for an interview, just like any other meeting in your business. If you're going into, I tell my sales team, if you're going into a meeting without an objective, what's the point of the meeting? So treat your interviews just like a business meeting. You want to have a reasonable exchange of information with the people that are interviewing you. You want to be able to be well equipped to ask intelligent questions about their business, as well as not only understand the P&L, but understand what are some of the business issues that they're going through. So recent events in the news, as an example, people are interested in people that are interested in them. So if you have the same skills as a person coming through the door before you or after you, and you are more enthusiastic and passionate about this business, more than likely you will get that job, because employers are looking for people that are passionate about their business, that who will go over and above. So it's not just about the job, it's about the environment, it's about the culture, it's about the people. So it's very significant. You want that to show. It comes out as genuine when you're very passionate. So what recruiters wish you knew? The first point here is massive. This is significant. Many candidates don't realize this, so please pay attention to this point. We represent many candidates on an annual basis. We actually meet about 10,000 people through our offices. And what we see is companies tend to post a role and still engage a recruiter. If you're a candidate and you apply for a role, it becomes a conflict of interest if we're working on that same role. So as an example, if you apply for role A and we're working on role A, we cannot help you in that process. And in many cases, you may not be called for that role because probably 5,000 people applied for the role, but we are working on that role with a client. We have the client's direct access to the client, and we can actually help you get to the front of the queue. So a lot of this comes back to building a relationship with recruitment firms and trusting your recruiter. I recently worked on an opportunity with a new CPA, and we went through a whole process, and the client actually wanted to hire this individual, but the person the CPA that went through the process was not being completely transparent with myself, and it basically meant that I didn't know if this person wanted the opportunity. So you need to be truthful, you need to be transparent. Some of the things, so if you really want a role, I guess what I'm saying is that you need to tell the recruiter that you really want the role so they can advocate for you. Some of the things that you need to be very transparent and honest about are compensation expectations. So as an example, if the recruiter presents you for $85,000 and at the end of the process you want 90, it may pose a problem. If you actually want 90 for the role and you think you deserve that, then great. You should have that discussion up front. You may not be far off. You may be outside the range, but we can use factual data to show you to say, okay, here's the range for the role, and if you have more experience, or going back to some of the slides before, if you're the perfect candidate, then we can get you to the top of the range. So there needs to be discussion beforehand. The location, the ability to commute, types of roles and industries of interest, and management style. So part of it is you want to definitely build a relationship with anyone that is representing your career. This is not just a job that we're representing you for. Many people that we have placed in the GTA as SFAs are now CFOs, potentially with the same company. So this could be the place that you spend 10 or 15 years at potentially. So it's a very, very important component of your job search. So making the most of your CPA designation. So if you're a newly designated CPA, first of all, I'd like to send a warm welcome to the club for newly convocated CPAs on November 19th. You've spent a lot of time and effort getting your CPA. Congratulations, and a fantastic decision on your behalf. So my advice is to get a mentor. I've had several mentors in my life. It doesn't have to be the same person throughout your career. Model the masters again. If you want to be like somebody, get that person as a mentor. It could be a professor, it could be a family member, and it can be anyone actually within your firm if you wanted to trust that person. Don't rush specialization if you're a newly designated CPA. You want to try different rotations at the firm, so whether it's audit, tax, or ERS, or any other rotation you can find yourself on. And if you're in industry, switch roles and experience different companies and different softwares and different cultures. And if you are not registered with a recruiter, I would encourage you to start building a relationship with a recruiter and having them understand what you're looking for in your next career. Many roles that we work on may not actually be posted online, and companies come to us directly. So you can actually access roles that you may not find on your own. So entering the Canadian job market, CPA designation, international experience, definitely you can be successful. What we recommend is when you are actually an IEP, I'm an IEP myself. My first opportunity I got as a contractor when I first came to Canada. I recommend the same thing to you. We cannot represent you without a CPA on the permanent side of the business. Clients, again, our requirements are client-driven, and that's what clients are looking for. However, their clients are more flexible when it comes to contract and temp opportunities, and they're and a lot of these opportunities actually turn out to be full-time opportunities. In fact, about 50% of our contract and temp roles tend to turn into permanent opportunities. So the power of the designation, your designation will have a massive impact on your trajectory in your career. Many of you on the call have experienced this, and some of you would still need to experience this. You know, as an employer, if one of your staff recently obtained their designation, a 10 to 15% salary bump is probably appropriate, because that's what they would get if they left your organization. And for CPAs that just recently graduated, again, it's a mirror image. This is what you should expect. So your career choices, again, can be extremely diverse. You can go through the traditional route of accounting, which is the firm route, or through industry, or many CPAs that I meet in my role are in sales, marketing, operations, business development, or yours truly in recruitment. If you are tired of Excel and tired of accounting, like I was, and you want to pursue a different route, and you are interested in doing something else, please come and meet with us. We're always looking for fantastic people to join our organization and help build our brand across the GTA. And again, CPAs are a very safe designation, a very safe job you can get with a CPA, and it's essentially economy proof. So that takes me to the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for listening, and I very much appreciate your attentiveness over this lunchtime.
Great, thank you, Kevin, very much. I have some questions right now. First one I have here is, I've been out of the workforce for about 5 years, and now I would like to get back into working again, but I've been struggling to get any interviews. What advice can you provide?
So thank you. That's a great question. And so I have a couple pieces of advice. So we see several people coming to us with this same problem. So it's not uncommon. What we tend to recommend is lots of networking. If you've been out of the workforce, you want to be able to attend as many networking sessions as you can to get yourself known by prospective employers and prospective and fellow candidates, actually. So as these individuals find themselves in opportunities, they may recommend you for a particular opportunity. Also, what we see is if you've been out of the workforce, you also want to look at contract and temporary opportunities, and be flexible coming back into the workforce, because your skills may not be as sharp as you were 5 years ago. So if you were a manager, you may want to take a small step back for a short period of time to take a step forward. So be patient, be open, be flexible. Also, you want to be able to look at reasonable contract opportunities. As I mentioned, many of these opportunities actually turn into full-time. And CPA Ontario has district events. I would definitely, it's definitely worth checking out and meeting fellow CPAs and honestly getting tips and hints from those individuals that are in that mode every single day.
Great, thank you. Our next question is, are you seeing many part-time opportunities or flexible work arrangement positions?
I would say we don't, generally speaking. We see very few part-time opportunities come about. So if I had to apply a percentage to it, I would say maybe it's definitely about less than 3% of all opportunities that we come across are part-time opportunities. Flexible work arrangements are a different question. We do see some clients being more flexible. If you do not have to be in the office or your role is not directly integrated into the other departments, we do see some of that. And it tends to be flexible on a very fixed schedule. So meaning you may have work arrangements that take you out of the office so you can work from home maybe 2 days a week. You know, we use the term around the office, not work-life balance, but work-life integration. Your family life is very serious and your work is very serious. So we see people trying to integrate both of them.
Great, thank you. Our next question is around someone who has a strong public accounting experience in senior roles and would like to get into the market for into industry. Do you have any advice around making that kind of a switch?
It's a good question, and what we generally see is if you are at the firm and you are a manager and above, there are less rules that are applicable to your skill set. Meaning, so if you are 2010 CA as an example, and you stayed at the firm for the last 6 years, and someone left as a senior accountant 6 years ago, that individual may be in a senior manager role in industry or a director role in industry. So if you are competing with that person, the person that has left the firm 6 years ago has tangible skills and tangible accomplishments that they can show versus the person who stayed at the firm. So the opportunities, quite frankly, become less. Some of the opportunities were successful with placing folks like that would be in technical roles. So if there was a technical reporting role per se, and a company was, again, acquiring that skill set for technical IFRS as an example, or tax, then that may be applicable. But it's very competitive because the individuals that you're competing against left the firm and have tangible industry work experience.
Great, thank you. And we have one more question right now. I'm currently a student and trying to get my practical experience requirement or work experience. And my work experience previously is international work experience, and I'm working to get Canadian experience. Do you have any advice for an internationally trained professional? I know you touched upon that a few minutes ago.
Yeah, I think it's it kind of circles back to, you know, being flexible, and you know, it's not uncommon. I've done it myself, and it's about being flexible, looking at opportunities. You know, when I moved from Trinidad, I was a senior accountant, and I actually took a role where I was processing invoices, but within 3 months, I was actually in a senior accountant role. So getting into an organization and getting known. So taking a step back to go forward is really important, being patient and being open, as well as looking at, you know, temp and contract opportunities, because, you know, that's very significant, because if you are competing in the permanent workforce for opportunities, you know, you're competing against folks that are currently employed and may have more progressive experience. So, but if you get into a temporary or contract opportunity, again, you have the ability to build relationships within that company, proven skills, and showing these individuals that have hired you that they made a great decision by bringing you in, and potentially that can lead to permanent employment.
Great. Thank you so much, Kevin. We really appreciate getting your insight. We're going to take a moment and switch over to Career Services. If you have further questions, feel free to email us at careerservices@cpaontario.ca. Let me just get set up here. And we're going to switch over to the job board. For those of you who aren't already utilizing it, CPA Ontario is our official job board and your direct link to top employers recruiting leading financial professionals. Whether actively or passively searching for a job, this is a valuable resource to see who is hiring and what skills are in demand. This week's hot jobs include a senior financial analyst role with the Canadian Institute for Health Information and a chief financial officer role with Sunspace Modular Enclosures. We now also have volunteer postings available on our job board, which include board and committee postings, so I recommend you check that out if you're looking to increase your portfolio and experience. This was the first webinar of our Game Changers webinar series. Feel free to join the next webinars using the links in the PDF attachment attached here. We're going to have the next one next December 8th, which is the MBTI or Myers-Briggs, Understanding Your Personality Type for Career Success. December 13th is Leveraging Social Media to help your job search. And January 18th, IFG presents Maximizing Opportunities of a CPA Designation is our third webinar. We're also providing an MBTI package, and as Kevin had touched upon, the hiring process is more robust than before, and insights with assessments can provide valuable information and can go over very well if you can speak to insight about yourself in the interview process. December is a busy month, so we also have 2 more conferences coming up, and you can sign up today. For next December 7th is the Not-for-Profit Finance Leadership Conference, as well as the Women Inc. Conference on December 12th, being held at the Ritz-Carlton. It's including keynote speaker Margaret Trudeau, Canadian icon for her role in the public eye and respected advocate for mental health issues, as well as Nandini Jolly, President and CEO of Crypto Mill Technologies, Inc. Thank you all for joining today, and thank you once again, Kevin from Lannick. We appreciate your time and hope you found this session valuable. Thank you. Have a great day.